now, and we can begin by taking a moment together, and we just kind of calm ourselves. I'll get ready to ring the bell here, but this is an opportunity again to come into a state of mindful awareness before we begin our meditation practice and conversation for the evening. So it's an opportunity to just kind of take note of any of the things that you're carrying that maybe you feel it would be beneficial to let these things go, at least for the next hour and some minutes. So you can put these things down. You can take the time to work on yourself, to nurture yourself and to heal yourself. So you might just think of some of those things that you'd like to put down, and think of some of those positive states that you'd like to cultivate: loving kindness and compassion, joyfulness, equanimity, peacefulness. So with that, just take a moment for yourself. I'll sound the bell. Let there be peace. Let there be peace. Namaskar, everybody. Welcome. Well, let's take a moment to get comfy and we'll meditate together. I've been looking forward to it all day. Sure. I had a neat experience earlier today. I got an email from a young man at the high school who was interested in doing a project on mindfulness for stress reduction for students. So he sent me a nice email, and he was just inquiring kind of about it and if I would be willing to share some information with him. So not knowing if he had a driver's license or what, I just said, I'll swing up to the school if you want. So I met with him, and it was really fun just to spend a few minutes with this young high school student, and a lot of great questions from him, and just really, it was one of those experiences that sort of leaves you feeling optimistic about the future generation. It was like, wow, this young man is just really solid, and he's just got a really good foundation as a human being. So he's interested in learning these additional things. So it's just really fun sharing that, and it was neat too to see someone of high school age who just felt comfortable reaching out, to an older stranger to have this dialogue. It was just a neat thing. Really enjoyed that. So I hope to, as we get going with the meditation center, I hope to be able to, start to draw in more young people. I think it'd be hugely beneficial to high school kids. So, all right. Well, if everybody's comfortable in the position that they'd like to be in for the next few minutes, you can close your eyes and let your body soften a little bit. Maybe look for those obvious places in your body where there's conflict, so you can maybe bring in a sense of symmetry in your body so that both sides are kind of equally weighted, so that there's not a lot of tension in one place or another. Find a little balance in the body. Let the breath be natural through the nose, if possible. And remember, you can move if you need to. And just be aware of your reactions to distractions as we go through the meditation. That's a real good way to practice with them, is to just take notice of them. So with that, I'll sound the meditation bell, and I'll begin to guide us through the practice. Follow the sound of the bell as it fades into silence. And let the silence be an invitation to turn your senses inward. This is an opportunity to let go of one of the habits of the mind, which is to be extended outward through the senses into the outside world, curious about things, engaged in the outside world. For now, just let that go and turn your senses inward. Take a few moments to become aware of the sense of presence you have in your own body. So turning the senses inward, the feeling of just being right here and now. Open up to that feeling of presence. And you'll notice that there is a degree of peacefulness and tranquility to that. Just turning the senses inward. The beginning of mindfulness practice. There's a real peacefulness there. And with that sense of presence established in your body, you can bring your awareness up to the top of your head and to the area of your scalp. And with awareness focused on your scalp, just open up to the physical sensations that you encounter in the scalp. Opening up to those physical sensations, you might notice temperature, warmth or coolness. Sometimes you'll even notice perspiration if it feels warm to you or hot. Sometimes there are sensations of air movement, just the very subtle movement of air in this room. You might notice that on the skin of your scalp or across your hair. You may notice sensations on the surface of your skin, things like tickles or itches, or sometimes more subtle sensations like a pulsation, tingling. So you're just opening up your awareness to anything you feel in this moment in the scalp. And if you encounter tension, you can just let the tension go. Observing the tension as something that is just not required right now. So allowing it to leave. Letting it go unconditionally, not pushing it away, not rejecting it, but just releasing it. And then continue to observe the sensations in the scalp. We're still here, still in the scalp, just observing. And now you can let the awareness move a bit. From the scalp, you can let the awareness move down into your forehead. And feel it as it moves. Really be with that movement of awareness. And as awareness moves into the forehead, just open up to the sensations. Let that be the automatic response as awareness moves through your body. And then from the forehead, let the awareness move through the temples. And let the awareness move down through the eyebrows. Let it move into the eyes. So here in the forehead, temples, eyebrows, and eyes, awareness is opening up to sensations. You are noticing the sensations, noticing tension and releasing it, whether the brow is furrowed or the eyebrows are raised. Sometimes the eyes are squinted ever so slightly. Just release that tension. So now this movement of awareness, it is putting you in touch with the sensations of the body, and it is allowing you to release any tension. And after releasing the tension, just continue to observe. There's no hurry. There's no rush to move on to the next part. There is only this moment of awareness. And now we can let the awareness move from the temples down into the ears. With the movement of awareness, really try to feel that awareness energy moving. Opening up immediately to the sensations. Observing them objectively without a lot of intellectual activity. Just noticing, letting the tension go. Moving from the ears forward now, through the cheekbones and into the face. Let the awareness move from the eyes downward, passing through the nose, through the mouth, and lips and chin. Open up the awareness to all of the sensations, temperature, air movement, sensations on the surface of the skin, tension anywhere in the muscles of the face. Let the tension go. Just release softly. Continue observing. Check in with the jaws and see if they are tight or if your teeth are clenched. Check in with your nose, see if there's muscles around the nose that are tightened, or see if the lips are pursed, and just let it all go. Let the awareness move from the chin downward now into the throat. Feel that awareness moving into the sides of the neck and the back of the neck. Remain aware of the sensations. Let the tension go. Let the neck soften. Continue with the awareness and let the awareness flow downward from the neck into the shoulders. Observe the different sensations in the shoulders, sensations of contact between your shoulders and the floor or the chair. Maybe there's sensations of contact between your skin and your clothing. Let any tension in the shoulders go. Let them drop if they're shrugged. And then maintain that continuity of awareness. Just a continuous flow. Let the awareness move down into the upper arms now. Move through the different parts of the upper arm, the biceps, through the inside part, through the back or the triceps, and then move to the outside part of the upper arms, letting the awareness open up to the naturally occurring sensations, letting go of any tension as you discover it. Just release. You can let go of tension with a joyfulness or a gladness of heart, remaining compassionate toward your own body, toward your own being. Let the awareness flow from your upper arms down through the elbow joints. And again, really see if you can be with that feeling of awareness moving. Be with the awareness as it moves part by part through the elbows, down into the forearms, passing through the forearms, down through the wrists, and then feel it as it moves into the hands, starting with the heels of the hands and the palms, and moving to the tops of the hands, and then moving down into the fingers, finally moving to the fingertips and the fingernails. Open up to sensations in the fingernails. See if you can become aware of even the most subtle sensations of pulsation or energy in the fingernails. And then from the tips of the fingers, we'll maintain this continuity of awareness and move up to the top of the chest. Let the awareness move across the collarbones, and then be with it as it starts to move down through the chest. Feel it as it moves all the way down to the base of the sternum. Let it move out through the rib cage. Remember to stay aware of the sensations. Really be with them. Allow the tension to go. And then bring your awareness up to your underarms. Let the awareness begin to move down through the sides of the body, all the way down to the waist. Again, remain attentive and be aware of your reaction to any distractions, just letting it go, allowing yourself to remain focused on the work of the practice. And bring the awareness from the waist forward into the belly. Start to observe the sensations as the belly rises and falls with the breath. Observe the belly as it expands and contracts. And take notice of the tension in the belly. Allow it to go. Release the muscles of the belly. Continue to observe the sensations. And then bring your awareness from the belly around to the top of your back. Start to observe, beginning at the base of the neck, and let the awareness move down through the shoulder blades. Feel it moving through the upper third of the back. Stay with the awareness as it flows down through the middle third of the back. Remain attentive, really paying attention to those sensations, remaining objective, letting the tension go, moving awareness once again down through the lower third of the back, the lower part of the back and the sensations within it. Allow the tension to go. And notice the feeling of peacefulness as you encounter tension and release it. Notice how there's a feeling of ease in the body and mind as you let go. And then from the lower back, you can let the awareness move down into the sit bones. Feel it moving through the hips and through the pelvis. Be aware of the different sensations of bearing weight, of being in contact with the chair or the floor. And let the awareness flow all the way through the pelvis until it begins to move down through the thighs. And then when your awareness is in the thighs, pay attention to the different parts. The tops of the thighs, the outsides of the thighs. Move the awareness down to the bottoms of the thighs, and finally to the inside. Again, stay with that movement of awareness, really feeling it as it moves through the different parts of the body. Let the awareness move down through the knees, and from the knees let the awareness move down through the calves, through the shins, down through the ankles. Feel it moving into the feet. And once awareness is in the feet, observing the heels, observing the soles, moving downward into the balls of the feet. Awareness moving through the tops of the feet. And finally down into the toes. Bring the awareness into the toenails. And with a little patience, just observe. Notice the toenails, the subtle sensations, the feelings of energy. And then from the tips of the toes, bring the awareness once again to the top of the head. Bring it to the scalp. Open up the awareness once again to the physical sensations in the scalp. And this time, at your own pace, you can begin to guide the awareness down through the face and the head, down through the neck and shoulders, downward through the rest of the body. And as you move through, again at your own pace, just let the awareness touch these different parts of the body, enough so that you can be aware of the sensations, and then let go of tension anywhere you're finding it. Noticing these places where tension reoccurs, or where it tends to be over and over again. These are some of the places of habit energy in the body. Places where our reactions to things like anger or fear or anxiety, where those difficult emotions appear as tension in the body. And then after we've moved on from thoughts about those things, the tension remains, and it causes those difficult emotions to kind of echo in a sense. So each time you come upon tension in the body, release it, knowing that you're releasing this habit energy. You're cultivating a new habit of releasing and peacefulness. And once you've moved the awareness down through the body at least once, bring it on up to the base of your nose. Bring it up to the little patch of skin beneath your nostrils and above your upper lip. Expand from that little patch of skin into the rings of the nostrils. And then expand the awareness just a bit further into the nasal passages. And now with awareness focused on this triangular area of the nose, become aware of the movement of the breath. Be aware of the in-breath. Be aware of the out-breath. Be aware of the movement of the breath inward. Be aware of the movement of the breath outward. As you continue to observe the breath, focus on the feeling of the breath moving. Focus on the touch of the breath. Focus on the full duration of the breath. Stay with the whole in-breath, all the way through. Stay with the whole out-breath, all the way through. Really let that fill your consciousness, peacefulness. Let go of all tension. Let go of all reaction. Just let yourself be peaceful. As you observe the full duration of the breath, open up a bit more to some of the sensations within the breath. The sensation with the in-breath of coolness, of dryness, sensations of the out-breath, of moisture, of warmth. So stay with these natural aspects of the breath, the movement of the breath in and out, the touch of the breath as it passes through the nose, and the sensations of the breath, the subtleties of the breath. Just stay with those three basic things. As you focus on them, distractions are bound to come. There are sounds in our environment. If sounds come up, just allow them to pass away and return your awareness to the breath. Just a very simple practice, but you find that there's real peacefulness in that. Sounds come up, mind is distracted momentarily, return to the breath. And sometimes physical sensations will pull the mind away. You'll feel a little ache or a pain in the body or some tension. As soon as you notice that, just use the opportunity to return to the breath. Return to that triangular area of the nose. Return to the movement and the touch and the sensations. And sometimes you'll see that the mind is wandering away. And you find it's planning or remembering. If you notice that, again, just bring the awareness back to the breath. This very simple thing, let it be your anchor. Let it be your focus. Return again and again. Let's continue in silence together. Just do about 2 minutes of silent meditation together. Use the breath as your anchor, returning again and again, releasing distractions. In about 2 minutes, I'll sound the bell. Take a little time to come out of that. Come on back to the room. And just try and maintain a feeling of peacefulness. One of the things that's really helpful as we do the meditation is just encountering again and again the real life experience of how our reactions are a lot of times the thing that sort of dominates our experience, you know. So as the janitor's bucket is rolling down the hallway and there's kind of this, the mind goes to that habit of the mind, you kind of notice, oh yeah, that's what my mind does, follows that. Then it thinks about what is that? Janitor's bucket with wheels on it. So there's this awareness that the mind likes to follow things. It's kind of like the dog, you know, it's interested in checking out whatever's going on in its environment. So to be aware of that tendency is helpful in and of itself, is just to notice this is the nature of my mind, is to wander away from whatever it is I've focused it on. And then noticing how that will sometimes start sort of a chain of reactions, which often lead to more thoughts. And you find yourself, you know, you've traveled 1,000 miles away in your mind and you're thinking about something completely unrelated. But, you know, this is just kind of what our experience is so often. So to be aware of that, it's helpful to notice that. It's also helpful to work with it so that when you do notice, bringing this back, bringing the awareness back to what you're focused on. Tonight we're going to talk a little bit about attachment and craving, among other things, but one of the things that we do is we start to become aware that attachment and craving is in fact happening. And before mindfulness practice, we just wouldn't notice that. So with mindfulness practice, there are still times where we don't notice it, but then we start to stumble upon it because we're starting to look for it. So you might notice cravings per hour, or you might notice like attachments per hour. And so there could be 100 attachments or 100 things that you're kind of craving in a given hour, and you might start to notice 5 or 10 of those things. And then if there's 5 or 10 of those things that you're noticing, maybe one of those you're able to really successfully just completely release and let go of. And you find in that you've cultivated this equanimity that we work towards. So then you can look at kind of releasings per hour. So sort of thinking about it in a different way, that now I'm actually aware of my reactions to things. My reactions are craving and aversion. Noticing that allows me to actually start to release. And when I start to release, sometimes I'm successful. Sometimes I'm not. And that's okay, but sometimes I am. And there is the peace and the freedom. So it's just kind of a way to think about it. I have 2 handouts for tonight. I want to start talking about what are called the Four Noble Truths, which is where we have this teaching about attachment and about letting go of attachment. So that's helpful. But then there was another one, and I want to spend about the last 15 minutes tonight doing a little practice. Many of you are probably familiar with this, but Judy actually asked about it, I think it was 2 weeks ago. You asked about that breathing practice.
Sleep.
Yeah, for sleep or for just dealing with difficult emotions. So that one's called Taming the Monkey Mind, and so I brought that with, and I thought, well, we could just do it all together because it's a really neat one to practice as a group. So we can do that monkey mind practice together in the last few minutes. So I have these 2 handouts. So we'll talk Four Noble Truths and then set aside the last 15 minutes, and we'll do that practice together. Yeah, you can just give everybody a copy. I think I made another 16 of those, so we have plenty of them. How's your hand, by the way, or your wrist?
Well, it's still swollen. And
It's still swollen?
Yeah. Well, I swell and I don't get rid of it for a long time.
Well, I think we all do that. We all swell now. and we don't get rid of it for a long time. This is, yeah.
My body feels swollen.
Yeah, it seems to be happening to all of us as time goes by.
Lucky money.
Yeah, that's okay. That's one thing about winter. I kind of look at that traditionally as sort of my healing time because I'm doing a little less, thanks Cheryl, I appreciate that, doing a little less activity-wise. So I kind of look at winter as my time to hibernate and heal up. This year is a little different, but yeah, but it's coming along. So, so let's start with the Four Noble Truths. And a part of this, well, this is a real core teaching in Dhamma practice. And I think it's very helpful to look at this and to really get a thorough understanding of it, because it just puts us in touch with where it is that we start to get uptight, angry, where we start to react. It gives us a clear path for working with that and for finding peace from it. So for me, this has always been one that's worth coming back to over and over. And when I say over and over, I mean for me, it's like every day I think about this as being something very important and worth paying attention to. So as I say, Four Noble Truths, they're one of the most important teachings. And in fact, it was so important that this is actually the first discourse that the historical Buddha gave after attaining Buddhahood. So the story is that he did a variety of different meditation practices throughout India with different teachers. He was trying different things. He was really looking for a lasting freedom from fear and from suffering and from pain, mental pain. And he was working with all these different teachers, trying their different techniques. And while he found there was benefit in a lot of them, he wasn't getting what he was really looking for, which is how can I find a way to transcend this condition of suffering and of anxiety and of dis-ease. And some of the things that he encountered as he was starting on his path were he had the four encounters. He came across a person on the side of the road who was very old, walking hunched over with a cane. And he saw this person, he kind of contemplated their condition that, I'm young now, but someday soon I will also be old if I live that long, and I'll be hunched with a cane and my body will be in a similar condition. So he took this on, and this was one of the things he was contemplating. He also saw a very sick person on the side of the road as he was out on one of his travels, and he contemplated this, that right now I'm healthy, but sickness is one of the things that I'm bound to experience, and the suffering of being ill. So he contemplated that. And then he came across a dead person on the side of the road that was actually being prepared to be taken to the funeral ground. And he saw this dead person, and he realized that, that too is something that's inevitable. I'm going to experience death at some point. And so there's fear around dying, or there's, not wanting to have my life come to an end. So these were the first three things that he encountered. And then he encountered a monk on the side of the road who was very peaceful, was calm, had a smile, a very subtle smile on his face. And he saw this monk, and he thought, there's something that this person has discovered that has enabled them to transcend this suffering that I'm seeing. So this really got him on the path to the practice. And so after studying with all these different teachers, again, he found benefit in what they were teaching him, but he felt like still something was missing, because I can I can get peace for a few minutes here or there. I can transcend some of the suffering that I'm experiencing, but ultimately it comes back to kind of haunt me. I'm fearing death, I'm fearing sickness, I'm fearing separation from people that I love or from what I want, and this is causing suffering, and I need to find a way to transcend that. And so from there, he set off on his own just to try and discover what would be the solution to that. And that's really what the word Buddha means. It means, it's not a name, it's actually a title. It means one who is awake. So as the story goes, after he had achieved this Buddhahood, his awakening, he was meditating outside of a town, and as people would pass him by, heading in and out of the town, they would look at him and they would see that there was something different about this man. He was sitting there and he had a certain peacefulness and poise and equanimity and a smile on his face. And they could see that he too had transcended this suffering of life. And so they were asking him, are you a god, or are you an angel, or are you a ghost, or what are you exactly? And he said, no, I'm none of these things. He said, I'm awake. I'm awake. So what he was telling them was, I've discovered something that nobody else has found before. And this began his teaching career, really. And so he proceeded to teach until he was about 80 years old when he passed away. But when he had that conversation with the people coming in and out of the town, he said, I'm awake, I'm one who's awake, and that's where the term Buddha came from. So the teaching is that it's not just one person's name, but this is actually something that we work towards, is this awakening within ourselves to a greater truth, to this transcendent way of dealing with suffering and to finding happiness. So the meaning, the true meaning of the Four Noble Truths, in many ways that has been obscured. The true meaning has been obscured by myth and by misunderstanding and by misinterpretation. There's so many different translations of the text. So there's a lot of times a misunderstanding of what it really is about. So I like to think of the Buddha as presenting the Four Noble Truths a lot like a doctor who had completed a thorough examination of the patient. You know, if you go into the doctor, a good doctor is going to sit with you and is going to say, well, what are your symptoms? What are you experiencing? You know, why are you here? What are you feeling? So the doctor listens and she hears what your symptoms are. And then from those symptoms, she's able to make a diagnosis. She's able to say, okay, based on your symptoms, I think this is what your illness is. And there's a determination after figuring out what your illness is, well, then that allows you to figure out what the cause is. If you know what your symptoms are, you know what your illness is, then that leads you to the cause of the illness. And then once the cause of the illness is discovered, there's a prognosis regarding the potential recovery, and then there's finally a prescription or a treatment plan for how do you get better. And so this was really kind of the approach. It was very pragmatic. It wasn't it wasn't a really far out thing that, hey, you need to also go and sit in the forest for 7 years and meditate under a tree endlessly and kind of be attacked by insects and hallucinations and all these other things. That there's actually a pretty clear path that you can follow to find freedom from your own suffering, and that this is it. And so really he's kind of offering this like a prescription. So the Four Noble Truths, and this is a great one to really understand kind of, at a very basic level. So if you have any questions on this one, feel free as we talk about this. And we'll go for about 15 more minutes, and then we'll switch to monkey mind. So the original text on the Four Noble Truths, this is a translation by Bhikkhu Bodhi from the original Pali. And so this is a very accurate translation. So he said, this is the noble truth of suffering. Birth is suffering. Aging is suffering. Illness is suffering. Death is suffering. Union with what is displeasing is suffering. Separation from what is pleasing is suffering. Not to get what one wants is suffering. So that's the first noble truth, that this is the common experience, and this is the inevitable experience of being a human being who's walking around in the world, that you're going to have these different things. And it's really undeniable. You know, when you're born, you come out of the safety and the warmth and just sort of this perfect environment of your mother's womb, and then you're born into the world, and the first thing you do is cry, you know. And then from there, you go on with your life. Now, there's a lot of happiness in life. There's a lot of joy. There's a lot of wonderful things. But as you go through life, you do experience the suffering of aging, which we were just kind of talking about, the suffering of illness, which we were just kind of talking about. You'll also encounter union with what is displeasing. And that could be in lots of, you know, subtle ways, like, oh, I don't want to have to go shovel my driveway. Or it could be, you know, more sort of ideological things, like if you're unhappy about politics in the country, you know, there's just this being in union with what is displeasing is suffering. And then, of course, death is suffering for, well, for most of us, just the thought of, you know, my life coming to an end. That's a little unsettling, and so there can be suffering around the thoughts of death. And then separation from what is pleasing. Separation at some point from the people that we love and who are dear to us. That's inevitable. It's bound to happen. There'll be suffering as a result of that. And also just not to get what one wants, whether it's something simple like you know, wanting a new vacuum cleaner, and for a while making your old broken vacuum cleaner kind of, you know, you're trying to kind of milk it along. There can be suffering in something as silly as that. Or there can be suffering in something more substantial, like not having enough to eat or not feeling safe in your environment. So not to get what one wants is suffering. So these are not super abstract. These are really, you know, this is kind of basic, fundamental, it's pragmatic, it makes sense, it's logical. Yeah, these are the experiences of being a human being. The neat thing, though, is that he's really one of the first people that brings this up and says, hey, this is all our condition, right? We're all in the same boat together. There's not some of us that are so wealthy that this isn't an issue for us. And there's none of us that are, you know, so smart that this just isn't ever going to be a problem. But he was saying that this unites us all. We all share this common experience of being a human being. And so it's actually looking at this as opposed to kind of living in denial of it, you know, pretending that these things don't happen. One of the experiences I had back when I was in the corporate world is that I worked with a lot of people who were extremely well off, very, very wealthy, really just had everything they would want in terms of money and material possessions and pleasures. But what I discovered is that all of these people too, they really had the same kind of worries and fears and sufferings that I had. You know, they weren't immune to that. These people that outwardly just looked so together and so beautiful sometimes, you know, kind of physically, they too had the same types of suffering experiences that I had. So it's kind of eye-opening, and it's sort of, it puts us in touch with the reality of being a human being in a different way, to just become aware of this first noble truth. The second noble truth, oh, and by the way, the word, and let's see, maybe I actually have this in my notes a little further. Yeah, I do, so I'll come back to that. I was going to talk about the Pali word, but I'll come back to that. The second noble truth. This is the noble truth of the origin of suffering. So the first one is the symptoms. Now we're talking about where is that coming from? So he says, it is this craving which leads to re-becoming, accompanied by delight and lust, seeking delight here and there. That is craving for sensual pleasures, craving for becoming, craving for disbecoming. So we'll take that one apart a little bit. What he's talking about here is that our craving and our attachments are the very thing that make us feel agitated, ill at ease, dissatisfied, upset, angry, whatever those emotions of suffering are. It's our attachment and our craving for something different, for something that's not here, for something that's maybe not even possible. It's said in Hindu mythology that a person wants three things in life, or three things out of existence. They want unlimited joy, they want unlimited knowledge, and they want unlimited life. So these are the three things that we kind of all want behind the scenes, but of course all three of those things are really impossible to have. So this is kind of recognizing that, well, behind all of that wanting, there's this craving. There's this craving that we have, and this is fueling that wanting. It's fueling the suffering. So there's actually something we can point to that's causing it. Now, you can maybe argue, how much craving can you really let go of? How much of this can you offload in order to find freedom from suffering? And what we discover is actually quite a bit. Sometimes when we first look at it, we think, well, how can I just stop wanting stuff? It's not as simple as just not wanting, a glass of chocolate milk or a cup of hot tea when you get inside. It's really how we think about the outside world, what we think is inherent to the things that we want. It's becoming aware of that in a different way. So we'll talk about that a little bit. The third noble truth is that this is the noble truth of the cessation of suffering. So this is the good news. There's suffering. We all experience it. We all share it. It's part of the human experience. It's unavoidable. There's a specific cause to a lot of the suffering we experience, and we're actually doing it to ourselves. We know what the cause is, and so now we can point at what the cessation of that suffering is, what the ending of that illness is. It is the remainderless fading away and cessation of that same craving, the giving up and relinquishing of it, freedom from it, non-reliance on it. So that is the third noble truth. So it's telling us that there's a way out of the suffering. There's a way out of the craving. There is a way to transcend it and to be truly happy in a way that isn't temporary, but in a way that is transcendent and permanent happiness. And then the fourth noble truth, this is the noble truth leading to the cessation of suffering. It is the noble eightfold path. And then he goes into some detail on how it is that we achieve that. But it consists of right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. And over the next few weeks, I want to talk about those a little bit more in detail. So we'll dig into those and talk about them. But maybe what I'll say right now is that those are like, in many ways, once we understand that craving is the cause, the primary cause of our suffering, we can start to reduce the suffering right away by reducing the craving right away, by being aware of it. Like when I was talking about aware of our reactions to things in our environment, as soon as you become aware of that, you can actually just stop for a moment and say, oh yeah, I'm noticing I'm reacting to this in a real negative way. Can I stop? Can I let go? And you find you often can. Yeah.
So suffering is just a matter of fact. To the degree that you suffer is what is your choice.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, life is suffering.
Yeah. Suffering is inherent to the experience of being a human being.
I think that that's one of the hardest things for us living in the West. People in the East view suffering different than people in the West.
Mm-hmm.
They come into the world accepting suffering and dealing with, and Western civilization, Western hemisphere, we always want to eliminate suffering in a different kind of way,
Mm-hmm.
and we feel somewhat entitled.
Yeah,
There's
and
a
there's
word that we use in this society that you won't, I don't think you hear so much in the East, and that's the word fair. That's not fair. This is well, yeah, it's not. Nothing is fair. I mean,
mm-hmm.
and I think that when you are trying to find fairness, or you will feel that you will suffer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and in some ways, maybe that concept of fairness comes from our thoughts about divine judgment. You know, maybe it's an offshoot of that. That, you know, if I'm judged fairly, you know, then I'll have you know, good things will happen to me.
That I don't deserve this, or somebody doesn't deserve. I mean, kind of a.
Yeah.
But see, I get back to last week's talk, and Kim and I talked about it along the way. I hit this barrier of that when we talked about forgiveness.
Mm-hmm.
That one just really resonates with me because I have that wall of forgiveness that I hit, and it's like I can't bounce to the other side.
Mm-hmm.
That's always dragging on me.
Sure. So there's some things you can forgive.
I embrace it. I really resonate with the concept of forgiveness.
Yeah.
But man, I'll tell you that is, for me, that's the one that makes me cry at night. Is like I can't
Forgive.
when I can't forget and I can't
Mhm.
forgive, or it's like I really want to. I really, really, really want to,
Mm-hmm.
and I embrace all of the concepts of this,
Mm-hmm.
but I can't push. Why this resonates well,
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you, Ken, that art of forgiveness, I could talk for days with you on that.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, hours and hours and hours. There's something about that really resonates.
Mm-hmm.
And I know we want to get going on with another topic, but
Yeah.
that one.
That's
Well, you know,
but you know what?
When
You
I'm
will.
listening to
will.
you, I'm like,
Yeah, you will.
ooh, push.
Yeah.
But
Willingness.
You're creating resistance, though, if you're trying to push it. You
Yeah.
know, just
Well-
let it be.
No,
You'll do
not
it.
push it. I
You'll do it.
want to accept it, but
Yeah.
You
there's
will.
something.
No, willingness is really the first step,
Yeah.
and so.
Just recognizing it,
Yep.
and
Yeah.
that's why it
Yeah.
resonates with me.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, that's what I talk about, the kind of the noticings, you know, is I'm finally noticing my whatever it is, my relationship to the world around me, whether it's having difficulty forgiving, having difficulty opening my heart, or being compassionate, or whatever it is. As soon as you become aware of this stuff. Now, one of the things that we usually do is we become aware of this stuff and then we start judging it right away. We say, oh, I shouldn't be doing that. I shouldn't be thinking this way. They shouldn't have done this, but I shouldn't do this. And so the judgment comes along, and that kind of stops you in your tracks. You're really not able to make much progress after the judgment comes into play. So again, the practice is about noticing this stuff, but being, to a degree, objective about it. So noticing, yeah, you know, I'm having these feelings of, you know, of not wanting to forgive, of holding a grudge, or whatever it is, but just noticing that and letting that be enough. You know, I'm noticing that I have that tendency. I don't need to judge myself for it. Just see if you can be compassionate towards yourself, and you know, You just notice, yeah, there's that little part of me that doesn't feel ready to let go of this, or is still a little angry about that, or whatever it is. Just notice it. Don't judge yourself. Just be aware of it. And
Well, if I could treat my fellow humans like I do animals, I would be extremely happy.
mhm,
Because
sure,
there's nothing I can do to an animal or even insects that I really like doing that.
sure.
But humans,
Well, see,
I
but
don't know.
but
It's like,
but
sometimes you go, I hate all humans.
well, you know what we talk about is you start with what you've got. You know, start with what is realistic for you. So, you know, cultivating love and kindness and compassion wherever you can do that, wherever it's genuine. So whether it's with a pet or whether it's animals that you encounter outside, or, you know, I mean, there's what you want to take away from that is noticing the love and the compassion that arises within you. So it's not that you're not capable of loving, but where you're noticing love spring forth and compassion spring forth is towards these animals. Okay, that's great. That's a place to start, you know, so we can work with those simple
Yeah,
beginnings.
That's like the transfer, but again, that's for a different time. I don't want to keep moving, but
Yeah,
the forgiveness part of it is, you know, forgiving another human, someone that's close to you, and forgiving myself
mm-hmm.
is a huge transfer. It's a lot easier to forgive an animal because they don't judge you at all.
Yeah. Well, and it is a big deal. And you know, part of this, the way we work with this practice is we're always kind of talking about the same thing, but we're always coming at it from a different angle. So describing the same thing and coming at it from all these different approaches, it's really helpful because there might be one place where we're hung up, but we can maybe get at it a little bit if we come over here and we approach it from this way. Yeah, so it's part of it. So knowing that, you know, just try to keep your heart open and keep going. So so yeah, I'm going to hit the brakes on this, and we'll continue talking about this next week, and in a few weeks ahead. We're just going to continue talking about these Four Noble Truths, really getting into understanding what they're talking about and what the Eightfold Path is. But I want to switch gears and talk about taming the monkey mind. Very.
I love that first sentence.
If you observe your own mind, you'll notice it likes to keep moving.
Okay, the next one.
It is never satisfied with one object for very long. I'll just keep going with it. The mind is easily distracted and agitated. It jumps from thought to thought as if it's looking for something. It doesn't know what, but it'll probably know when it finds it. And in the ancient meditation texts, this phenomena is referred to actually as the monkey mind. And sometimes the little episodes of incessant thought activity are called mind monkeys. So for me, I mean, that image is exactly it. They talk about how the monkey swings from branch to branch and from tree to tree. It's just holding on to one thing for a few seconds before transferring to another. And that's how the monkey moves around. But that's really kind of how our minds are, right? You think about one thing for a second, and then that kind of branches off to the next, and you think about the next thing. And before you know it, I had a meditation a few days ago where I was in a particularly distracted mood, and at some point I became aware that my mind had been wandering, and I was actually able to recall like sort of this different chain of events in my mind, or these different images in my mind, and I was amazed at all these different things that I had thought about. And you know, somehow I ended up thinking about some actor in some movie. You know, it was kind of the way my mind had gone, and then I kind of caught myself. But I had just gone through this virtual maze of thought and ideas and images, and so yeah, it's really how the mind is. Sometimes that can be a little bit of a problem for us. Leaving us agitated, stressed out, anxious, having difficulty relaxing or finding peace. For from the sutta there, just as a monkey swinging through a forest wilderness grabs a branch, letting go of it grabs another, letting go of that grabs another one, letting go of that it grabs another one. In the same way, what's called mind or intellect or consciousness by day and by night arises as one thing and ceases as another. So you're thinking about one thing one moment, you're thinking about another in another moment, constant arising and falling of the mind. When I first prepared this one, it was about a year ago, and that was the start of the year of the monkey, so I just noted that in here. I'm not sure when Lunar New Year is this year. That was February 8th was Lunar New Year, which is when many of the Asian countries celebrate it. So it's usually around then, but it's marked by the first, I think it's the first new moon of the year is what Lunar New Year
It
is.
has to be coming up that close right now. It's almost a full moon.
Yeah, it's getting there. So as soon as the full moon passes and it's zero moon, right? That's the new moon, I think. I think that's what it's called. Yeah, the full moon is kind of the completion. So we have a built-in device for taming that monkey mind. And what I'd like to do is take you through this exercise or through this practice. So we'll do this one together. You can read the other stuff, but I want to make sure we have enough time to do this. And we can easily do it here in just a few minutes. So we're going to, there's essentially three aspects to this meditation. The first one is we're going to use the breath as a way of just calming and focusing and centering. So we're going to spend a moment just counting the natural breath of the body. Then we're going to transition into timing the breath, the natural breath, kind of getting a sense of how long the in-breath and how long the out-breath is. And we'll do that for just a few moments. And then we'll move into a breath, a pranayama, which is a breath exercise, where we're going to start to expand the natural breath into a deeper and deeper in-breath and out-breath. So there's three aspects to this practice, but it's a good one. It's very helpful. So we'll just begin. So just sitting where you are, we'll just spend a few minutes doing this together. So start by closing your eyes. Take a moment to just check in with your body and find a place of balance. So you'll notice sometimes after sitting and engaging in discussion like this that maybe your body has become a little crooked or a little off balance. So just find a straightness of the spine, find some symmetry in the body. Bring your awareness to the breath. You can do that by bringing the awareness up to that triangular area of the nose and just focusing there very gently. And now let's just breathe together, counting the breaths, focusing on the breath, the movement of the breath. So breathing in, 1, breathing out, 1, breathing in, 2, breathing out, 2, breathing in, 3, breathing out, 3, breathing in, 4, breathing out, 4. Continue doing this on your own for just a few moments. So now maybe you're up to a count of 10 or 12 or whatever the number is, and that's fine. But you've used the movement of the breath as a way of focusing and centering the mind and the body, of getting them together. And now we're going to begin to measure the breath or time the breath. So continue to breathe naturally, breathing in, 2, 3, breathing out, 2, 3, timing the breath in this way, breathing in, 2, 3. Breathing out, 2, 3. Breathing in, 2, 3. Breathing out, 2, 3. Continue to do this on your own now for a few moments, just measuring the breath to those counts of 3. So now you've been working with the breath, measuring it to a count of 3 for the in-breath and a count of 3 for the out-breath. And now what we're going to do is we're going to start to expand the breath. So this time we'll breathe into a count of 4. So breathing in, 2, 3, 4. Breathing out, 2, 3, 4. Breathing in, 2, 3, 4. Breathing out, 2, 3, 4. Just continue with that count of 4 for a few moments. So you're just expanding the breath ever so slightly, pushing it to a count of 4 on the in-breath, pushing it to a count of 4 on the out-breath. And now we're going to expand the breath just a little further. If you feel uncomfortable as we're doing this, just return back to a normal breath and don't manipulate it. But if you feel comfortable, let's expand the breath together to a count of 5. So breathing in, 2, 3, 4, 5. Breathing out, 2, 3, 4, 5. Breathing in, 2, 3, 4, 5. Breathing out, 2, 3, 4, 5. And keep going with that count of 5 for a few more moments. You're pushing the breath just a little further now. Breathing in a bit deeper, exhaling a bit more. Now we're going to take that breath up to 6. So breathing in, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Breathing out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Really work with pushing that breath, bringing it in, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Pushing it out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Continue to work with the breath to the count of 6. Do that for a few more moments on your own. Really filling the lungs, really emptying the lungs. In and out to the count of 6. Stay with the breath. Remain focused on the counting. Now we're going to take the breath one more count. Going to go to 7 now. Breathing in, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Breathing out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This starts to take some effort now. Breathing in, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Breathing out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And stay with that count of 7 for just a couple of moments on your own. You're really filling the lungs to capacity all the way up, really pushing the air out of the lungs to breathe out to a count of 7. Stay with it, breathing in fully, counting to 7. Breathing out fully, counting to 7. And now just let your breath return back to normal. Don't manipulate it in any way. Just let the breath return to normal, whatever it wants to do. So just let it breathe in, let it breathe out. Observe the movement of the breath. Let it breathe in, let it breathe out. Don't manipulate the breath in any way. All right, now we can end this meditation, come back to the room. So we went through that practice of 3 phases of breathing. And this is, when I talk about taming the monkey mind, this is giving a specific task to your mind, something to do when you're upset or you're worried or you're just distracted. So like laying down, going to bed is a big one for a lot of us. As soon as you get in bed, you turn everything off, you're laying there, and then the thoughts start, right? And that's when the mind monkeys start, and everything is just, it's one thing after another. So you really become aware of it. So a number of people that I've shared this with have found real good luck at bedtime because you're giving yourself something specific to do. You're also really oxygenating your body, your bloodstream. You're getting these full breaths. This is ideal for doing if you're panicked or anxious because one of the things we do if we're panicked or anxious is the breath starts to become abnormal or shallow or short. So this is a way of getting the breath full and complete. But a lot of people have real good luck with this because it's giving the mind something to do, but it's not too out there. It's not something that's difficult to remember. So you just start by centering yourself in the breath and counting up to about a count of 10. Then you move into the measuring the breath to about a count of 3. Breathing in to 3, breathing out to 3. That seems like a pretty good average for most people. And then start to expand on that 3. And in this one, we doubled it. We more than doubled it. We went from 3, which is a normal breath, up to 7, which is more than twice what the normal breath is. And so there's a real filling and a real emptying. And I've talked to a few people who do this when they're trying to fall asleep, and they don't ever recall making it to the end. So you can try this. And
I was just gonna say that.
yeah,
I never, all of a sudden it's like, I'll wake up in the morning, I'm like, I don't even remember getting
yeah,
to the end.
yeah,
It was like it was a belly thing. It's like,
sure.
try to fill the belly
Mm-hmm.
instead of the lungs. Keep
Yeah,
expanding the
it's
belly.
really all the way, pushing the diaphragm all the way down until it hits they call it the pelvic floor. So it's really, it's this full belly breathing, this full body breathing.
But I got a quick question. What prevents me from doing that during the day? Because I just love it at night.
Oh, nothing. You can do that
Like I
anytime
said,
you want.
No, but why? But it's like I'll get anxious and everything else. It's like I want to do it, but I can't get myself into that rhythm. What is that something?
Well, sometimes you just have to begin with, if you're in your van, just turn off the radio, maybe turn the fan up so there's kind of this white noise. Put your hands on your knees, close your eyes. You're just sitting there in this quiet vehicle, and you can just start with the counting. Yeah, just see if you can close your eyes and just see if you can count your breath. So it's a task. It's like, okay, let me count to 10 breaths. Let me just do that. And you find, you can focus for about 10 breaths. And that's a lot of times enough to just sort of center you. And then you can move on to the next thing. Well, let me breathe 10 times at a count of 3. You can even use your fingers, breathing in, 2, 3, out. Each breath cycle, That's one count. Try and get 10 of those. So you're doing these in groups of 10, and then moving to the expansion. But if you really set aside, okay, I'm going to do it. Turn off the music, park, go into the bathroom, whatever it is, wherever you have a moment of just complete, kind of privacy, you can do it. You'll find that it's possible. But just start by counting. And just trust yourself. Trust yourself. Trust yourself.
Take the rock out of the backpack.
Yeah.
Remember,
Take the rock out of the backpack. Yeah.
That's a big wall for me, so.
Well, I'm going to end it. We went a little long on time, which I apologize for. It took a little longer than I thought, but so we'll end it together, and then if anybody wants to stick around and talk, we can do that. But let's just begin. We'll just do a moment here of the 4 Brahma Viharas. So the first one is compassion. May all beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. And the second is metta, or loving kindness. May all beings be surrounded by love and kindness. And then the third one is mudita, which is appreciative joy. May all beings be joyful and happy. And the fourth is upekkha, which is equanimity. And may all beings be peaceful and free and equanimous, free from craving and attachment. And then you, especially, you sharing this room and this space and this moment of your life here with me and with this group tonight, may you all be truly joyful. May you all be truly, truly happy. All right. Namaskar, everybody. Thank you very much. Sorry for going a little late.
I don't know if you can do it till 10. 7 was hard.
Bill Murray, Richard Dreyfuss. Absolutely hysterical.
If you're doing it in bed, you might find it's a little easier. But yeah, you just work with it, whatever's a good number for you. Maybe you only make it to 5. But the point is that you're trying. It's not so much. It's not so much hitting a target number. The first 2 sets do the 10 because you can. But then whatever that breath is. So you might start by, just trying to increase it by 1, and then you find that over time you're able to go more and more.
Either one of you guys want to plant? Jay plant? Want a Jay plant?
Kim, do you think? Yeah, I have terrible
This is something
I
for
don't
the,
like breathing.
No, I have
And
I
I
have a
just think,
60-year-old Jay
even,
tree in my
I
house.
have
And
trouble
it fell
letting go of
over
that
and I
breath.
couldn't throw out the babies.
It comes real